All right, hello everyone, and welcome to a Week 12 preview and some of the previous week's recaps. Have a lot of interesting things to talk about here. We have almost a playoff countdown here, just under 2 weeks away till we have an idea of the conference championships going into the playoff. We already kind of have some teams that are locked in, some teams that are already out. It's been an interesting season. Definitely some disappointing teams, definitely some teams that have been above their pay grade. But I kind of want to start off by going over some recaps that we may have missed here. Starting off with some user games that were close or surprising and ended up turning for the season. So first off, Wisconsin Penn State, followed by Nebraska Penn State. Penn State loses 2 weeks in a row. First to Nebraska, 24-21. What was a really close game. It was a tough loss for Penn State. Neither team really deserved this game. They both kind of had turnover problems, but Nebraska gets the win 24-21 off of, what was a solid day for Dylan Raiola, 359 passing yards. Penn State had it going on the ground, 16 rushes for 186 yards, but nothing going through the air, only 183 passing yards. I think Nebraska controlled time possession with 13 minutes almost, and Penn State with about seven. So, not ideal for Penn State. This has been kind of a letdown season, especially in the Big Ten for them. But they're still in it. They still have some stuff to play for. I mean, with three losses, we haven't seen a three-loss team from a user team get in with three losses. So, that game was followed. Nebraska Penn State was also Wisconsin Penn State. Wisconsin goes on the road to Happy Valley, knocks off Penn State. Um, Another letdown performance for them, for Penn State. Just unfortunate, some turnovers. Two turnovers, a fumble loss, and an interception. Wisconsin kept it clean, and this Wisconsin team, I mean, they've been very solid. I mean, all their user games wins. They're undefeated. They're ranked two. I don't believe they have any really competitive user games ahead on their schedule. Let me look real quick. This week they play Illinois, and the next week they play Oklahoma State. So two CPUs to end the year. They're expected to be undefeated, and we'll see what happens in this Big Ten championship. I don't, looking at the standings right now, I'm not sure they'll be playing a user in the Big Ten championship. So we'll see what happens for them. Some other games I want to go over. A big game happened in the American Conference. ECU took on Liberty, kind of a battle for who would be coming out with that American Conference championship and who would be competing. Liberty knocks off ECU 52-24. I believe this game was pretty close. Yep, it was a 28-point fourth quarter to win for Liberty. I know we were talking about it. He said that I think we were close to an ECU stop. I think it was like 4th and 1, and then wheels kind of fell off for ECU there. But a very competitive game. I'm not sure. Here, I can look real quick. With two losses, I'm not sure it's possible for ECU to be in that American Conference Championship game, but that's what they would need if they would need a win there to basically go into the playoffs. Now, at that point, I don't think it's possible. Looks like they picked up another loss in conference, so they're 7-4 now. So I think they're pretty much eliminated now. Um, but it was a good season. Hopefully, they get some recruits in there for the Pirates. But this Liberty team is a wagon right now. They have a receiver in the Heisman race, so it's a solid season for them. They're going to be looking at a playoff berth here as long as they can win out. Who else? We had a big game in the SEC. Georgia taking on Kentucky for pretty much that playoff spot. Georgia almost locked in. Kentucky needed some help. UGA beats Kentucky 35-26. Great third quarter for them. They scored 21 points. Great day on the ground, picking up 22 rushes for 217 yards for the Dogs. Not really impressive through the air. Their third down conversion percentage was not great, but they made up for it on fourth down, going 100% on fourth down. Kept it clean with turnovers. Just an overall solid game for them. That's how this Georgia team is branded, and that's how they're winning. Is they're not turning the ball over. they're keeping it on the ground and it's working. I mean, 217 yards and 3 touchdowns to the ground. That's about as good as you can do. This Kentucky team, solid performance. You know, going up against Georgia, that's a tough team to beat. The quarterback for Kentucky, the freshman didn't do terrible. 232 yards, 2 touchdowns. Unfortunately, threw 2 interceptions that I'm sure were crucial. So it's a growing season for them. Obviously, they're going to look back and see that I believe it was the Oklahoma loss where they went to triple overtime as kind of the point where they lost the playoff berth. But I mean, it's still possible. Right now, they are ranked 18th, and they have two top 10 opponents to end the year against CPUs. So honestly, dark horse team to make the playoff. They go on the road at Florida, then I believe they go on the road at Louisville. So Louisville's third, and Florida's ninth. So still possible for this Kentucky team. All they got to do, make sure they win out first of all. They're not going to get into that SEC championship, I don't think. And then that's all they have to do is win out. It was a very challenging task against both those teams on the road, but if they want a path to the playoff, it's winning out for sure. I don't think there's any other user games we have to discuss. Nebraska beats Kansas 29 to 20, 29 to 21. What was a close game? Um, Nothing really of note for some of these CPU games here. West Virginia beats Kansas 34-26. I believe that game wasn't played. So some of the teams that are already knocked off, Kansas, obviously 3-7, competitive team to the end, but just nothing really of no recruiting. It's kind of been a rough year for them. Tennessee, they are 6-2 in the SEC, which is solid, but their non-conference was terrible. So there's still a shot at hopefully a SEC championship berth for them. Both them and Kentucky are 6-2. But with 4 losses, you're pretty much out of the playoffs. All but locked in are Wisconsin and Georgia. I mean, pending a fall off here in the last 2 games, both of these teams are pretty much locked into the playoffs. Even if they went 2 losses in their last 2 games, I think they'd still make it. But obviously, both of these teams have been a wagon so far, so not necessarily worried about that. Absolutely huge game here in the Big Ten. Nebraska and Ohio State play in Week 12. Ohio State goes on the road to Nebraska. That is very important. Both of these teams, honestly, circle it. If you win this game, I think you're pretty much locked in. Assuming you don't have this is Nebraska's last regular season game. Ohio State, they have one more after this. I don't think it's good enough to make the Big Ten championship this year because I think there's an Oregon team that's undefeated. So Oregon plays at Michigan State. And they also play UCLA to the end of the league. So unless they pick up a loss there, Oregon versus Wisconsin looks like the matchup that we're going to see in the Big Ten championship. So this Ohio State Nebraska game is pretty much for it all. I don't think a loss this late in the season for either team gets them in to the playoffs. I think so. This is win or go home. This is as big as it gets. This game last year was close. I believe the first game was a desync, and then the second game pretty much came down to the wire. This Ohio State team's hungry. They have the team to do it. If this is a year that they can go far in the playoffs with the roster they currently have, it's going to come down to Julian Salan versus Dylan Raiola. Both defenses haven't been fantastic. This Ohio State team has been primarily offense. Sands had a good year, but it's big moments that he kind of struggles. So we'll see what happens here. This is a night game in Lincoln, Nebraska, so it's gonna be as about intense as it gets. This is pretty much an early playoff game. Both teams want this bad, so we'll see what happens there. Um, of note, Wisconsin travels to Illinois. Not necessarily worried about them. Illinois is 3-7, so they're not solid. Kansas goes on the road at Kalamazoo, Michigan, at Western Michigan. Don't see a loss there. If he plays it, I think he wins. American, Wake Forest this week. This is what happened. So Wake Forest beat ECU after the sim yesterday. This game was played twice, and Wake still upsets ECU. So disappointing end of the season. I think ECU genuinely had a chance at the American Conference championship had they won that game, and this is one they're going to want back. ECU scoring 21 points. There, Caden Hauser has a good performance, but it's not enough to beat. What is the quality Wake Forest team? They honestly didn't do too much on offense. I assume this game was won on the defensive side of the ball for them. But yeah, this is one they're going to want back. Other notes, this week Ohio plays at Liberty. Liberty's the 12th seed. Not necessarily worried about them making the playoffs here. They finished their season with Ohio, and then they play on the road at Charlotte, which is one of the most intense environments in college football. So good luck getting out of that one. But assuming they win that one, they should be on pace to go to the American Conference and play what will most likely be Wake Forest with the tiebreaker over ECU. Winning that's gonna be one that ECU I'm sure is gonna want back, but probably be Wake Forest, Liberty in the American, and assuming they win that game, they are going to be traveling to the playoffs. Hopefully, not somewhere difficult for their first game of the year. So, um, kind of on the fringe here is Penn State. They're sitting with three losses against three solid teams. So they have the resume as far as beating teams, but I think it's going to be between them and Kentucky for that last playoff spot. Kentucky and Penn State with both losses, they have it early in the season. So I think the Nebraska Ohio State loser gets jumped back because of how late in the season it is. And then with the Big Ten, I think Penn State, they don't have a game today or this week. They play at Kansas to finish the season. That may be one that will boost them into the playoffs, maybe, potentially. We'll see what happens. We'll see what shakes out. West Virginia, too, not a team talked about. They are going bowling. They do not have a game this week. They play against Maryland next week. Solid season for them. They have a lot of work to do as far as the recruiting trail goes. They were competitive with all the teams in the division. They didn't really get blown out a single time. Let me fact check that real quick. They beat Illinois. They beat Kansas. They beat Stanford, Rutgers. I want to see that. Penn State, yeah. So Penn State was really the only time they got, kind of waxed 45-12. But, after that they were able to pick up some solid performances. They had some solid CPU wins, and this team's going to come back hungry. As a reminder, you're more than welcome to take a job that's offered to you. I don't know. Some of these losing teams are expecting a big offer. I don't know if that's going to happen for you. But best of luck with that. Let's take a look at the recruiting trail. Um, not to no surprise. I mean, Penn State's back up top with the 2 seed there. Picked up 7 5 stars. Got some good commits coming in. 4 4 stars. After them, Nebraska at 6 with 1 5 star and 10 4 stars. That 1 5 star is a QB, so they're going to be looking to replace Dylan Raiola, assuming he doesn't come back for a senior year. In a similar boat is Wisconsin at 8 with 1 5 star. That 5 star is their D tackle. So that's going to be good for bolstering their lineup. Surprisingly, Georgia at 10, they picked up 6 5 stars. Got some good guys coming in, but only 2 4 stars. So they're kind of lacking behind. And I have to scroll down quite a bit of ways to pick up the next person, which is 28th ranked West Virginia. They picked up 4 4 stars, or excuse me, 6 4 stars. And after that, I mean, just kind of a pathetic effort on the recruiting trail from the rest of the league. I mean, I'm scrolling past 70 now, and I don't see any people that have kind of gotten recruits. It looks like it's been a rough year for some people. Kentucky's got 2 4 stars. Not ideal for them. I mean, we're going to be looking at the transfer portal. On Liberty has 2 3 stars. That's pathetic. And then you got Tennessee, ECU, Kansas, and Ohio State all with 0 recruits. So I don't know what their plan is. It seems that maybe maybe it's going to be early exits for them this offseason. So unfortunate, but there's still time to pick up some people in the transfer portal. They can recover some people. Maybe they got some younger teams and hoping that experience kind of takes the wheel here. But that's pretty much it for the playoffs and kind of going into it. We have, I mean, obviously, all eyes are going to be on Ohio State versus Nebraska this week. Nothing really of note for the final week of the season. We have a user game, Penn State, Kansas, but don't really expect that one to be close. And then just it's about securing a playoff berth. I mean, Kentucky is going to be looked at the next 2 weeks. I think they can do it with the resume, especially being in the SEC. They're ranked 18th. You pick up two big wins here, handedly, and I think there's a genuine chance this Kentucky team can make it. But we will see what happens. For conference, like I said, it's looking like it's going to be Wisconsin, Oregon. There's the dark horse shot that either Ohio State or Nebraska with one loss gets in. Um, as long as Oregon picks up a loss, it's going to come down to a tiebreaker. And then in the American, it should be Liberty versus Wake Forest, assuming, yeah, that is their final conference game here. So it should be Liberty, Wake Forest. And then down to the SEC, it's going to be Georgia versus, it's either going to be Kentucky, Florida, or Tennessee. They all have two conference losses. So it looks like it's going to be Georgia, Kentucky getting another rematch. So that's going to potentially be a playoff berth opportunity for Kentucky. I don't know how these tiebreakers work. And Kentucky's going to have to win against Florida this week in order to clinch that. That's looking like what it's going to have to be. So they're able to clinch that, and we'll see what happens. Honestly, if I was them, I would want to clinch. Um, I would hope that I don't know if Tennessee has a tiebreaker for the SEC. I don't know how the tiebreakers work for that second seed, but we'll see what happens. If I was Kentucky, I'd want to let those two wins and then hopefully have another shot to get in. So we'll see what happens here. A lot of stuff to watch. Heisman watch. We're looking at the running back for Penn State, Jaheim White, Jalen Mbakwe for Liberty, running back for ECU, quarterback for Liberty, and the quarterback for Oklahoma. So a lot of stuff. Good luck to everyone this week, and we'll see what happens.